Got a call about 3:15 in the morning, and those are the kinds of calls you never want. Nothing ever good comes up at 3:15 in the morning.
My truck's caught on fire. You're gonna have to come, fire trucks are gonna have to come southbound going northbound because the truck's on fire on the bridge.
There had been a crash on the Brent Spence Bridge. There was a major fire, and they did not know the extent. I walked back in and turned on the light and told my wife that the Brent Spence Bridge was on fire. I had to go to work.
Part of the Brent Spence Bridge burns overnight. Now crews are trying to clean up the mess, and drivers are dealing with the traffic nightmare.
The I-71, I-75 corridor is part of the lifeblood of commerce. So we knew when this crash occurred, we had to act quickly.
When the governor and I spoke on Wednesday before the press conference, he said, Jim, we want to get this job done, and we want to get it done quickly, but it's got to be done safely. And that became a touchstone for the entire project.
The scars from this morning's crash and fire on the northbound lanes of the Brent Spence Bridge will likely remain visible for a long time. It's what those scars tell inspectors that will determine just how long the bridge will have to remain closed.
I called in about 20 to 30 bridge inspection personnel. The fire damage was constrained to a certain area, but having that many personnel and qualified personnel, that led us to a quick turnaround to get that inspection done and performed and see what actually was damaged and what needed to be fixed.
The main truss members were far enough away from the fire or shielded by the concrete. Concrete's an excellent insulator and greatly reduces the amount of heat that's going through. That's why the lower deck, while it was the location of the fire, actually had less damage and had less work and repairs that had to be done. The upper deck, which was directly above the fire, was not insulated by the concrete deck, and all that fire got into those.
The damage to the upper deck was to the stringers, the metal beams that run under the concrete deck. They were warped, and it caused the upper deck to actually be displaced.
We sourced these steel beams from 4 different mills in the country. The contractors visited the site to examine the site on Saturday and Sunday, and they gave us a price on Monday morning.
Right now, the other bridges are having to shoulder the load the Brent Spence Bridge usually handles.
The traffic control is a major part of a project. If this were a scheduled project that we were going to replace a portion of the deck on the Brent Spence Bridge, we would have taken months to determine the traffic patterns. We had hours.
We had contacted Bob Yeager, our chief district engineer from the State Highway Department, and he helped us coordinate state resources to get out there with directional signage, crash trucks, and they get out there and helped us facilitate the detour around the 275, 471 corridor.
I actually say there were 3 projects in my mind. There was the bridge inspection and repair project, there was a traffic maintenance project, and there was the communications project.
My role was to kind of oversee all 3 of those and make sure that information was shared not only among, but between each of the groups so that we could coordinate them.
The Brent Spence Bridge is such a nationally prevalent bridge. There were people even beyond the local area that needed to know what was going on. We established a dedicated website and made an effort to put out consistent visual content so that people would know what exactly was happening on the bridge. They could track along with us, and they needed to know how else to keep crossing the Ohio River.
It wasn't a complex project, but the conditions were complex. The removal of roughly 7,000 to 8,000 square feet of concrete, removal of these steel beams, the replacement of them, the replacement of the barrier walls, but it was under a very constrained, very demanding schedule on a tough site.
Throughout the construction process, a lot of people that are saying, well, I'm never going to drive across that bridge. I didn't trust it before. I'm not going to trust it now. I think if the structural integrity of that bridge was ever proven, it was during this event, because they went in and basically surgically removed the damaged portion of the upper deck of that bridge, and the rest of the structure remained intact and stood there. It was very obviously very structurally sound.
What impressed me the most was the expediency and the effort and the cooperation that we got at all levels. Working with 2 states to try to get something done would typically take at least a few conversations. Everybody was on board, not asking why, but how. How can I help?
The plans for the Brent Spence are not to remove the current Brent Spence, but to build a companion bridge to the west. It needs some relief, but it's really a capacity issue.
We were surprised by the response that we got opening day. People really appreciated the work that was done. It was more than just getting a bridge back open, but I think they really appreciated the people and the sacrifice that it took to get it open early and that it was going to be safe.
Thinking about all of the things that we were able to accomplish in 6 weeks, all of that's kind of replaying in your mind as you drive through it. And like I said, just a relief that this is real. Like it really happened. We were able to get it accomplished, and pride.
This project on one of the most important arteries for transportation in America, we came through under budget and ahead of schedule.
Felt good to watch other people drive over it, really. I mean, that was when we finally felt like we'd accomplished something, when everybody just started driving over it like nothing had ever happened. I'll remember this my entire career. Yeah, it's the Brent Spence Bridge, so you remember that.